Hey friends, my name is Jen Smith. I'm the welcome pastor here at Abingdon. You could perhaps be ushering for the very first time today, or you could be ushering for the millionth time today. So wherever you are, super grateful that you decided to jump in and serve in this way. Ushering is so important because it's one of those things that breaks down yet another barrier for folks as they enter the sanctuary. They could be feeling a little overwhelmed, or who am I going to sit with? We actually met a gal last week who was her very first time here, and she was by herself. And she said that she was really nervous about going in and sitting down by herself. So who knows who you'll be meeting and where they'll be coming from and what baggage they might be carrying or ambivalence that they might be carrying. So just be gentle with folks as they enter. Make sure to acknowledge every single person that enters the auditorium. Even if there's so much seating that you aren't necessarily needed in that moment, you'll be needed to just acknowledge their presence and welcome them. You can say Merry Christmas, glad you're here. Those are always really great greetings for folks at this time. So just be aware of every person entering and acknowledge them. If you're an usher, your usher lead is actually going to meet you. So if you are in the lobby, the women's restroom is right here. There's a room right here, and then there's a hallway right here. It actually says Abingdon over the hallway. You're gonna walk down that hallway, and after you pass the printer, there's like a bookshelf on your right-hand side, which will have all of your usher name tags. So I'm gonna walk you down there just so that you can see what I'm talking about. We have extra chairs, just so you know, in case we have overflow seating in this hall. So I'll talk to you about that in a second. And then your name tags are actually right there on that shelf in those little gray bins. So if you're ushering for the first time, that's where you're going to find your name tag. Go ahead and grab it out of one of those gray bins. If you're ushering, like you're normally on an usher team, you can grab, if your name tag is in the gray bin, grab it out of there. If it isn't, grab it in the bin of when you would normally serve. I ran out of green ones, so I had some of you all are going to grab it out of your normal team. So that's where you'll get your name tag. That's where you'll meet your leader, and they'll give you some next steps. If for some reason your leader is not in that hallway, go ahead and meet them in the sanctuary. You can tell them by their bright green shirt. Just ask them where they want you, and they will give you steps from there. Couple of things are overflow seating. So we have the chairs in the hall that I just showed you, and then chairs are also in this room right here. So what happens during overflow seating is that we've identified that the auditorium is now pretty full, and that folks coming in are most likely not going to be able to find a seat. Ideally, in a perfect world, we'll fit everyone in the auditorium because it's more comfortable. It just is better sound, and they won't have as many distractions as if they're set up in the lobby. But we also don't want to turn people away. So if we get to a space where you've sat as many people as you can and you cannot fit anyone else in the auditorium, that's when we go to overflow seating. And our overflow seating plan will be to put chairs in the lobby kind of like on a diagonal so that they can see the TVs around this pole. So we'll put those seats down in rows for them, and we'll use the plastic chairs that are in the hall and in that room. And very quickly as a team, you'll just place down the rows of chairs so that they can see the service in the lobby. And we'll crank up the volume and ask people to be quiet, but as you can imagine, it's not the best experience. So that's where you all come in. As you're seating people, try to be intentional about, before the music starts, looking at the rows and identifying where the gaps are, where the seats are available still. So it is really easier to see where the seats are in rows before worship begins. Once people are standing, it's harder to tell how many seats there are available. So be intentionally looking for that, because people generally, particularly at Christmas, come in later, and they're in a hurry and they're flustered normally by the time they arrive. So the more that you can ease in their transition to their seat, just the more quicker they will get to a place where they can just posture themselves for worship. So just be looking for empty seats, and then count, like, oh, okay, if I had a party of 5, I could put 5 people here. And then that way, if worship is happening and somebody walks in and they have a family of 5, you know exactly where to put them. The other thing you should do is to work as a team. So we should have one person by the auditorium doors at all times, greeting people, acknowledging them, and then asking them if they need help finding a seat before worship starts, and then afterwards actively engaging them, and if they look like they need help, you would count off how many people there are, and if you're passing them to somebody that's on the other side of the tech booth, you would raise up your hand and be like, I have a party of 5. Like, you would, that way you can work together as a team. Your team leader knows all of this, and they will help you day of. If you're new to this, these are all just basic reminders. So work with your team lead, find out what your position should be, and and one last thing that's different for Christmas, ushers have these little bags that they can hand out to any kids. So our kids programming is actually only up to age 5. So 1st through 5th grade will be in the auditorium with us worshiping, and that is new. Normally during services we have all the way up to 5th grade and back in Mountain Kids. So as kids enter, they're going to be a little antsy because they're not used to sitting in adult services. So we have these cute bags that kids have put together, and you'll hand those to the families, one for each kid. And if you need more, let me know, or let your team lead know. We can grab some more from Susanna. But just that will be part of what ushers do as well. So I'm super grateful to you guys. What you do is super, super important for breaking down just yet another barrier for somebody who could be nervous or a little ambivalent about coming in our doors. So thank you for showing up, and thank you for serving, and Merry Christmas to you.